So I just had my 8th audition. It is January 24th. Not a bad start. My current statistics are 8 auditions, 1 callback, 0 bookings, and I'm actually okay with that. Obviously, I want to book them all, but I always take 8 auditions in a 24-day period. Overall, statistically, in my career, a couple years ago, I actually counted all my auditions. It was a little over 1,000. So at this point, I'm roughly 1,400 to 1,500 auditions in. And if you look at IMDb, I have 87 credits to my name. So I'd say 7-ish were times when I didn't audition. I was just offered a role. So I'll say 80 successful auditions where I went in, auditioned, did my thing, and booked a role. 80 out of, say, 1,500, roughly, you do the math, was what? 4%, roughly 4% of my auditions are booking. So it's a really low percentage, but that's just the way this industry works. So it's a weird thing to get used to when I was first starting out. And I thought it was hot shit, and I thought I'd be discovered overnight, and it doesn't take long before you realize that's just not true. So anyway, this audition, it's not good practice to really talk about what show you're auditioning for. Studios and networks don't like that kind of thing. But what I can tell you is, so I auditioned for a co-star role. There's different size roles in the industry, and I'll give you a very brief summary. So from lowest to, say, highest, I guess. Starts with like background work. Everybody knows that background or extra work is no lines. You're just you're on set and you're advised where to walk in the background. Then it goes up to like co-star. Some people use the term under 5, but it's not the equivalent. But anyway, it's a co-star. It could, and there's different size co-stars, and then it jumps up to guest star, and there's different size guest stars, and then there's recurrings, and then there's series regulars. That's the typical ladder. And there's different sizes. That's just the main categories, but there's like subcategories within each. Like there's small co-star, there's large co-star, there can be recurring co-star, there's one-day guest star, top of show guest star. So it's all it gets a little strange within each category. And with each within each category is different rates of pay as well, which I guess I can cover in another video. But the higher up you go, the more money you typically get, and the higher up you go, the more opportunities come to you. Although everything is a catch-22 in this industry, which I definitely want to talk about in another video. I keep getting like this one single hair coming down, like one single wannabe Elvis Presley curl. I don't know if you guys probably can't see it, but I can see it. Anyway, so I went out for a co-star today, which is actually a step backwards for me, and strategically it's not always the best idea, and I don't really like to do it. So I did background for a long time, for years, 5 years, 6 years, something like that, before I got my first speaking role, which was like 2 lines on Law and Order SVU. And then over the years, I did some more co-stars on a couple other shows, and then I got going into guest stars. And where I'm at now, I've done a few guest stars, I've done a couple recurring guest stars, and I've done up to 5 episodes on one show. So I'm at a point where typically you don't like to go backwards. Once you go backwards, meaning down the ladder, when I go from guest star back down to co-star, it's just not really an advisable thing to do for your career. So why the hell am I doing it? Well, there's a few reasons that I consider this kind of stuff. One is if the show is an older show and it might not be around next season. So in this particular show, I'm not sure if it's not a popular show, but it might not be back next year, and it's on episode, I think it was 19 out of 22. So there may not be another opportunity for me to even do this show. So that's why I took this one. Other times in the past, I've taken a co-star audition because the type of show it is itself, just there's not many roles available for people or for my type. For example, years ago I did Halt and Catch Fire, an AMC show, which there's just not many. I get called in for a lot of blue collar or a lot of military, a lot of cops, firemen, that kind of stuff. This particular show didn't really have that kind of role on their show, so they ended up having me in for audition for the CEO of Nintendo. So it was an office corporate job, which I don't get to go out for very much. So that was another thing I wanted to kind of expand on what I've done, and I booked that show. So that would be another reason why I'd go backwards and take a co-star. And then another reason might be that I really wanted to do the show, and I didn't really care what size role it was. That's happened a couple times where, like, I want to actually talk about this in another video. When I did The Walking Dead, it was just a show. It's one of my favorite shows on TV, and it's my favorite genre of all things. And I just wanted to be on the show, but I'm going to get into that another time, because it was the best and worst day of my life when that happened. And then other reasons why I would do a co-star, why I have in the past, because there's possibly a recurring of any size on a show is something that really can help your career. It doesn't matter if it's just a recurring co-star, because oftentimes those things can bump up to a recurring, or it could be really long-term recurring, seasons or 10 episodes or what have you. And then finally, like, I've heard other actors say that they take smaller roles than they're accustomed to because they have to hit things like health insurance thresholds, which I don't remember the exact number, but for union for the SAG, I think the lowest threshold to hit the like plan 2 for health insurance is like 15,000 or it's 22,000, something like that. And then the tier 1, the best insurance, is like 32,000. So sometimes I've heard actors who are just, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000, whatever, short of whatever health insurance goal they need. So they'll take a role. They'll just take anything because they need to meet that threshold. So that's also another reason why actors take it. So anyway, I don't want to like sit here and bore everybody with every detail of everything that goes on. I kind of just want to share things as they go in my career for this next year. I'm excited to do this with you guys. And if there's anything that you want me to specifically talk about, my goal is just to kind of enlighten people, because a lot of people ask me what it's like to be an actor. And then also a lot of actors, a lot of my friends, like we're all in the same boat. We all learn from each other's experiences. So that's why I wanted to share mine as well. I'm like foaming at the mouth because I'm excited. So yeah, hopefully my experiences, people find value in something along the way. So yeah, thanks for checking this out, guys. And again, please let me know if there's anything specifically you want me to talk about, because I have a ton of stuff that I want to share, but I definitely want to make sure that this info is pertinent to what you want to know as well. Okay, thanks, guys.